Bitcoin predictions for the month of November. None of this is financial or investment advice. Crypto is risky. You could lose your money, all of that. Welcome. I'm Jack. I'm an engineer and crypto astrologer. I combine technical analysis with astrology. Beware of the spam in the comments below. Don't fall for those. Watch this video to the end, as I'll be giving my Bitcoin predictions at the end. And smash the like button if you haven't already to support the channel. Previous predictions, well, last month I predicted that October we're going to go up second half of the month. We did not get that. We have had a pretty terrible month of October when we got an all-time high and we got massive selling. We got a red month in October, looks like here. So missed that prediction. I can't get them all right, but we're doing our best here. I did also mention in last month's video that I believe the Bitcoin dominance was going to go up, and we did get that. We got a huge spike up, and looks like we're going to close in the green for the Bitcoin dominance. So I got that correct. The Bitcoin dominance is going up. We look at the Bitcoin chart on the 2-month scale. The biggest concern I see is that we're getting actually, no, this is 4 months. We're on the 2-month chart. So this is 2 months and this is 2 months. We are about to close this 2 months, September, October, and the major concern here is we've gotten massive selling action in July, August, and we've gotten massive selling action in September, October. Depending on where we close the month, if we close in the red on the 2-month scale here, that's going to be looking like a gravestone doji, which is really not good for Bitcoin. So that's a big concern there. Definitely had to mention that. Also, if we take a look at this yellow line, I'm going to zoom out here in a moment here. And I've been talking about this for a long time, but the yellow line is the rate of change of the global liquidity. Raoul Pal said it's the rate of change that matters, not just the global liquidity. And the rate of change has been going down ever since we peaked out over here. We've got this all-time high, and that has sent crypto and Bitcoin down. Now, it's interesting that it shows it trading sideways here, possibly for the month of November, and then a little dip. And then it goes up, it looks like in December, heading into January, possibly. So that's really interesting. It's tough to say how low this could go. Are we just going to tap 101, 102 again, or are we going to go down into the 90s? There is a 50% level here at 99. That's from actually, no, let me update this. It might be a little bit higher. It might be, if we go to the all-time high that we just got, that brings the 50% level to 100. So, and that's including this low down here. So it's a 50% level between the low of April 7th to the peak of October 6th there, and we get that 50% level right at 100. So could we double tap, or could we tap that 100 level again? It's certainly possible. We shall see. We look at the others. These are just the altcoins, not including the top 10 coins. And typically when we get the crash and retrace, we get this, liquidity event, crash. Then typically we get a retrace up to this little bit past this yellow box, and then it actually falls off again. And we've had this happen 3 times through this bull market cycle. We got a massive crash here. This was in December. Man, that was brutal. And we got a retrace past the yellow box, but then that was all she wrote. It fell off after that again. And we're seeing something similar once again after the October liquidity event. We got the huge crash, then this retrace back up, but it's potentially, we could potentially get up to this liquidity gap here that I found at about 290 billion, but it could actually fall off again after that. So I'll be keeping my eyes really close on this. Taking a look at the USDT dominance, this is the Tether stablecoin dominance. It's been going up a bit, and this is more in the bear direction. I have the bear here. As long as we're above this level 4.61, it's more bearish, because then people are holding onto their stable coins and instead of investing in Bitcoin and crypto. We are still up here in more of the bearish levels. We want to be down here. Now, there is a liquidity gap here that I found. around this, 4.57, 4.36. So we could be heading back down. That would actually send crypto a bit higher. So that would be best case, but I'm not sure when that's going to happen. If that's going to be more closer to December or if it's going to happen in November, it's really tough to say. We'll take a look at the astrology to see if there's any hints. But if we zoom out, we're creating this potential wedge formation over a long period of time, really since November 2022 during the bear market. And it's going to be interesting to see if we can get a breakout. If we get breakout upside, that's a bear market. But if we zoom in, if we break to the downside, that would be a massive altcoin run. So if we're able to break below 4.2, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if we broke like down here, that's where our massive altcoin run will be. So it's tough to say. I don't think we're going to get that in November, but we'll keep our eyes on that to see what happens. Looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart, we do have liquidity gaps above and below, so it's difficult to say exactly what direction. But if we look at what history has shown us, we look at these arrows pointing down. These are previous months of November. We got a big red month when Trump got elected. Red for the Bitcoin dominance in 2023, when altcoins were getting a nice little run back then. Then in 2021, at the bull market peak, we actually got a dump there for the Bitcoin dominance, a little bit more altcoin run. Then November 2020, when the bull market was just getting started, November had a slightly red month, but it went up, it went down, so lots of volatility. It was a major turning point for the crypto markets. And then in even 2019, we got a red month. So almost every single year, actually looks like every single year, November had a red month for the Bitcoin dominance. Now, it might just be slightly red, or it could be a big red candle, but looks like Bitcoin dominance could be going lower in November based on history. And so we could get a bit of an altcoin run. It's certainly possible, but I don't think we're going to get a massive blow off top necessarily. If we look at the Bitcoin dominance and then we pull up the total 3 altcoins with this blue line here, we see that historically, like this month right here, this was Bitcoin dominance went slightly down. That was really the start of the bull market. So I don't think we're necessarily there right now. We've already gotten pretty far through. But then this is, this November 2021, that was the very peak of the altcoins. And we got a red month. We still got a red month there for the Bitcoin dominance, but that was the end. Then, these Novembers were when the bull market had started already. This big red dump in November of last year was a peak. Once again, another peak for the altcoins. And this next month, we'll see what happens. But it looks like historically we usually get a down month for the Bitcoin dominance. We'll see if the altcoins can hold up. I wonder if we'll just kind of trade sideways. It could even be, the market peak. Really tricky situations we're in right now. I'll be explaining more what I'm thinking about the month of November. Let's take a look at the general astrology. So we're still having a basic So we're still having a grand trine for the most part with Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus. That's overall positive for the very long term. But for the shorter term, for the month of November, Venus is opposing Chiron on the 2nd. That could bring up wounds around money, as Venus can represent money and what we value. So not great there. November 3rd, we have Venus squaring Jupiter. This can kill over optimism. So I don't know. That's tricky. Like, are people still thinking we're going to go on a massive run in November? Our dreams might get kind of crushed with that. It's certainly possible. November 4th, we have Mars trining Neptune. That's slight positive there on November 4th. We also have Mars opposing Uranus. That can bring a lot of volatility. Uranus brings the unexpected. And this is a fairly big moment for Uranus on November 8th as Uranus retrogrades back into the sign of Taurus, where it was, I believe, back in June earlier this year. And that's the anaretic degree. That's the most intense degree, which could really highlight this Uranus energy of unpredictability. So the fact that it's unpredictable makes it kind of silly to try to predict. So that's a wild card. We could have wild swings in either direction. Very, very tricky. I mean, it could even mark the end of the bull market. That's wild. But we'll see. Is it just going to swing upwards and just surprise everybody? Who knows? But we get Venus squaring Pluto the next day. So that's a concern. Venus, the planet of money, and what we value, squaring Pluto. It can be the planet of wealth and power, but also can really unearth things related to Venus, what we value, that we haven't looked at deep enough, and it could also bring some surprises or some skeletons out of the closet. November 10th, we have Mercury retrograde. Typically, Mercury retrograde is negative, but it lasts all from November 10th all the way to the end of November, and so we could, I mean, about 70% of the time, Mercury retrograde can bring a correction in crypto. That's typically what happens. But there is that 30% that it could go the opposite direction. November 12th, we have Jupiter retrograde. This brings a major market shift. So there's just like a lot of volatility in November, a lot of unpredictability. Jupiter retrograde, it's not telling us which direction it's going, but a major market shift. November 13th, Mercury retrograde is conjuncting Mars in Sagittarius. But Mars in Sagittarius, crypto, historically, Bitcoin does not do very well when Mars is in Sagittarius. So that is a pretty big negative there. November 17th, we have the grand trine with Sun, Jupiter, and Saturn. So this is one of the most positive things we have astrologically in November. That's very nice, bringing more optimism and slow and steady growth and our hard work being rewarded. That's interesting. November 19th, Mercury retrograde is opposing Uranus. That brings a massive wild card. So that could bring more just massive volatility, unexpected twists and turns of events. November 21st, we have the Sun opposing Uranus. That's another massive unpredictability, wild swings potentially in the market. But the Sun is also trining Neptune, and Neptune is also sextiling Uranus on the same day. So that's a bit more positive. On the same day, we're also getting Mercury retrograde trining Saturn and Jupiter at the same time. So there could be more optimism towards the end of November in the best case scenario. On the 25th, we have Mercury retrograde conjuncting Venus, which could bring in, more optimism, more good energy, as Venus can bring that. November 26th, Venus is trining Jupiter. That can bring more expansion, as Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and we can become more optimistic. November 27th, we have Venus trining Saturn. That could bring more positive vibes into money and what we value. November 30th, we have Venus opposing Uranus. That brings another potential unpredictability day. But Venus is trining Neptune, so it brings a little bit more positive energy. November 30th was when Mercury goes direct. So any time between November 10th through November 30th, we could easily get a crypto dump or correction. So we have to be aware of that. Now, specifically for the Bitcoin astrology, where the planets in the sky are making specific geometrically aspects to the Bitcoin astrology birth chart based on its birth time and in 2009. So we have November 1st, Uranus is squaring the Bitcoin Venus. The last time was July 13th, where we had a peak and a dump. So this is potentially a bit negative. November 1st, we're already getting a massive dump heading into this day, about 24 hours in advance. As I'm filming this video, Bitcoin just dropped to 107,000. Now, November 14th, we have Neptune sextiling Bitcoin Jupiter. That's more positive. That could bring more. Could it bring euphoria? As Neptune can bring that. It could also bring delusion. It could also bring more delusion, where people are expecting an altcoin run and maybe it's not going to happen. That's tricky. November 19th, we have Uranus, the wild card, trining the Bitcoin Jupiter. So that's actually really positive on the 19th. The last time we had this was June 28th, which was followed by a big move up. So we'll take that. We got one positive thing out of all this negative stuff. November 28th, we have Uranus opposing the Bitcoin progressing moon. That could bring more wild swings, more unpredictability. And then we have the Bitcoin BlackRock ETF chart. So to this chart, we have November 3 progressing moon squaring the IBIT Uranus. That's another wild card. More unpredictability. Could get a correction or be trading sideways. Not so great there. November 6th, we have Neptune trining the IBIT Pluto. That's difficult to predict. Slight positive. November 15th, Uranus is trining the IBIT Pluto. We'll take that. It could bring a little bit more. Could be holding the market up a bit more. November 17th, this is a huge concern. We have Saturn conjunct the IBIT Neptune. The last time we had this was April 7th, the exact day that we had a massive dump for Bitcoin and crypto. Altcoins got crushed. When Saturn conjuncts the IBIT Neptune, we had that massive liquidity event, and it was a big dump. November, we have the ETH astrology. November 6th, we have Uranus squaring. This is the Ethereum ETF. So slight negative on November 6th. The Uranus just bringing in more volatility. This could be a very volatile month, or maybe we're just trading sideways. Maybe it's super boring. November 9th, we have progressing moon conjunct the ETH Saturn. So that is a bit concerning because Saturn can bring a contraction. November 13th, we have Uranus sextiling the Ethereum ETF Neptune. That's the only positive we get for Ethereum on November 13th. So it's not looking as great as I was hoping. Mars, typically, and when it's in Sagittarius, Mars is going to go into Sagittarius in the month of November. Typically, Bitcoin does not do well. So that's a concern. According to this, the top could already be in. Possibly. It's not guaranteed. That's not looking great. But then this Bitcoin seasonality, November is the best month, typically. So it's really tricky here. Could this be one of the years where we don't get a big pump on November? We will have to see. Or are we going to get that last final pump to a new all-time high that a lot of people are expecting, or some people are? It's really tricky. We're getting pretty volatile, very volatile astrology on this month. We'll take a look at some additional charts. Raoul Pal, the macro investor, pointed out that the ISM has been staying very low, and typically it needs to go up when we get Bitcoin and crypto bull markets. We have not gotten a massive altcoin run. We need the ISM to go up, so we're going to get the next reading in the next 48 hours or so. But he's thinking that the ISM sine curve could be heading out well into next year, actually, which in that case, we could get more of a run next year. So that's really interesting to think. Could we get an extended run well into 2026? That's what Rahul Pal is potentially pointing at, a possibility there. If we look at this Bitcoin cycles chart, it actually shows Bitcoin, at least basically the direction of the price, possibly going down in November. So this actually lines up with somewhat negative astrology, or we could just be trading sideways. But it's interesting that it actually starts to go up in December, the month after, and possibly even a peak in January. So that's really interesting. But we'll have to continue to watch this and update this chart as we head into November. Quick announcement: to join the Crypto Astro Mastermind, if you haven't already, you will gain access to this amazing training that I just released. You will get access to this training to complete the Bitcoin 2026 and 2027 crypto astrology training. I just filmed this. It was an hour long. We dove into all of the astrology in 2026, 2027, at least some of the main biggest transits, most significant transits that I found. Was very interesting, and it gave us some hints on if we could get on a continued run next year. So there's a chance that people might be thinking this is the end of the bull market, but is it really? Take a look at this training to see all of details of what I found, and it was very, very fascinating. You don't want to miss this. There's only one more spot left in the next 24 hours after I film this video. So definitely get access to that by clicking the link below, and make sure you type in the coupon code on the checkout page. And if it works, then you get massive savings on this and very high value. So Bitcoin predictions, guys, this is extremely difficult to predict. There's just so many wild things happening in the markets. Either this is the end of the bull market and the peak is already in, or there's a chance that we're just getting started based on those Raoul Pal charts. I'm leaning towards, for the month of November, the Bitcoin price mostly trading sideways in November. maybe even getting a corrections. But any pumps, I would be thinking more on the side of taking profits than further accumulating. That's just what I'm thinking. I am about, let's see, 60% in the market right now, but I'm 40% in cash. So I'm definitely concerned. I might even, I'm trading the market a little bit right now, but I might even take out some more cash if we get further upside. So that's just what I'm doing. That's what I'm thinking, but you got to make your own decisions. Share this video with someone, a family friend, or someone who could benefit from this, someone who loves astrology and crypto, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.